Welcome to Perspectives from HSBC. Thanks for joining us. And now, on to today's show.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of the HSBC Perspectives podcast, being recorded live at the HSBC Global Investment Summit in Hong Kong. My name is Mark McDonald, Head of Data Science and Analytics for HSBC Global Research. I'm delighted to be joined by Isabelle Meyer from ZENDATA Cybersecurity. It's great to have you here. Should we maybe begin by, if you give a brief introduction to who you are and what ZENDATA does for our listeners?
Yes, definitely. Well, funny enough, I'm a lawyer. I've been doing M&As for most of my careers, but about 14 years ago, I started a cybersecurity company out of Switzerland. We specialize in various different projects in cybersecurity, but we mainly work with governments. I would say about 30%, mainly on threat intelligence, managed services, and then international companies, most of their critical infrastructure, OT, these kinds of environment, and then SMEs. We're going to be talking about cybersecurity and AI and its involvement, and a lot of time, cybersecurity would focus on the major environment, but you know, the SMEs are a very big ecosystem, very important in society, and they cannot be forgotten as well.
Yes, it's going to be a very exciting conversation with lots to talk about. I guess many of our listeners are likely to be sort of investors. So I thought maybe if we could begin with the financial side of cybersecurity. Obviously, cybersecurity as a business has grown dramatically over the last 10, 15 years. Could you maybe give us some sense of the scope and the scale of how this has grown?
If you're looking at the impact of AI in cybersecurity and looking at where to drive through this, right? If we go back to the COVID era, this is where everybody jumped into cloud computing. And that was done in a very, very quick way. And often the cybersecurity was left behind. You take about companies like Wiz. I mean, best example, 2020, cloud computing protection, and it was sold just recently to $32 billion to Google. Well, now we have this chance as well for startups, for investment to participate, but this time we can really bake security from within. And I would say to really not only focuses on company that will be looking at building AI, but regulating it, protecting it, right? It's quite of a big race. We've been using AI forever. I mean, you're in this for a long time as well. It's been decades, right? But when suddenly the large language model came in, LLM, so as we know it, the OpenAI, your ChatGPT, your DeepSeek came in, we kind of had this Terminator effect. You know, maybe the robots will be taking over the world. Maybe they will, by the way, but maybe not now. But we have to think that at the moment, it's not the machine the problem, it's really the humans behind it. We're really giving a very big leverage to threat actors, to the bad actors, the bad guys. Before hacking, shooting a ransomware, it was difficult. You needed the know-how, the tool, you needed to be working at it. Now it's accessible. I mean, you can buy it on the dark web. You have kiddie scripts that are very easy to deploy, right? So when we're looking at this and we're looking at where to really do your investment and where to start thinking about it, I would say everything regarding regulation, data protection, and this, I mean, I hope we can talk about it because data protection is becoming an increasingly big risk as well.
You know, for people to be a successful security professional, I suspect you probably need a fairly unusual mindset, a kind of playful, constantly looking for ways to poke holes in systems. Do you think investors in this space also need to have an unusual mindset? I'd imagine that there's very much a sort of bad news is good news aspect to cybersecurity. Is there anything else unusual that you think about is needed about the mindset for investors in this space?
It's a very good question. Okay, so I always think no matter what, the soft skills needs to be there. But this, I think, it's in any profession. And the people that really makes it are people that are not the traditional people. And it's very funny because we're surrounded by thousands of bankers right now. That kind of. But I'll say something a bit crazy, and hopefully, so we were talking about cloud computing, right? So if you're looking at cloud computing was really where the investment was. We needed to protect the cloud. That was really yesterday. Now today, we are talking about AI. So today's priority is AI and AI protection. What's coming up in the future and what people are forgetting to think, and if I may, I'd like to go to the Russia-Ukraine war.
Okay.
Okay. I know you did not expect me to go there, but you said different mind. Let's make it different. So when you're looking at Ukraine's most important valuable assets, it wasn't the tank, the drones, the aircraft. It was the satellite communication, right? Starlink that was provided by Elon Musk. So it wasn't really a surprise when you had Russia that one of their first move was to hit the satellite communication. And why? Because it's old. And satellites are just, computers floating around our heads. It's not being set with the latest cybersecurity technology. We can't access them. We can't patch them. We can't update them. So it's really, really old. So if, we're talking about the cloud, today, AI, the future for me, if I'm an investor, it would be investing in protecting satellite communication. Think outside the box. And we were just selected by one of the governments now to start building cybersecurity protection in space.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was also my reaction.
That's very cool.
It is, because if you're sitting in front, actually someone from Oxford, actually like you, is leading the think tank. And, I'm sitting in front of around of all those brains, and we really want to create this, and because there's so much to do. And I'm like, wow, it's even hard now to protect what we have on Earth.
Mind in space.
But yes, so I would agree, like if you're going to be an investor, if you're going to be looking at what's next, you really need to think outside the box.
You've alluded a couple of times already to the way in which AI and cybersecurity are becoming increasingly intertwined. I think for many people that aren't an expert in either space, that's probably unintuitive as to why these worlds are becoming so intertwined. Could you maybe expand a little bit on why the worlds are so interlinked?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this is fascinating. We really switched in the latest years from having a kind of defensive cybersecurity to a really proactive, intelligent cybersecurity, and in so many different layers. So, for example, you have security operation centers, right? I would describe them as, let's say, your alarm system in the house. When you leave the house, you put your code, and it's 24/7. It's monitored. So we do this for extremely large companies. Some companies externalize it. Some companies have it in-house. Those layers, the amount of vulnerabilities that are created each year by the big boys, the Microsoft, the Cisco, all of this has a lot of different, lot of vulnerabilities, and you have over 30,000 vulnerabilities a year. So there's no way nowadays human can actually triage, patch, and do this as quick as possible. There's no way the human speed can actually outpace the human machine speed. So now in those security operation centers, we have entire layers that used to be manual work that is done by AI agents, whether it is treating cybersecurity, threat detection, incident response, threat intelligence. So what used to take us days, I would even like to say weeks, now takes seconds. Yep. You have the layer regarding software development. We know that those vulnerabilities are created from human error, right? In the way of coding. So now it's not that suddenly we will not have any more software developers, but we can suddenly have a much more enhancing code. We can have codes that are protecting from within and making sure we can flag vulnerabilities, mistakes from the start. And everything regarding talents. Now I think the number is we're lacking 6 million cybersecurity professionals in the world. So everybody that have kids, they can go in cyber, or just change your career path. And actually, they're getting more and more expensive, and rightly so. But really, everything regarding the soft skills and enhancing this layer is extremely important. But not only that, if you're looking at the lack of cybersecurity professional and the environment of SMEs, now everybody can be smart. That's the beauty of AI. But with the SMEs, I mean, you have the wealth managers, you have the investors, the family offices, the law firms. All of these have extremely high sensitive data. The risk tolerance is extremely low. And the first budget is not going to be necessarily in cyber and not to have the real full-on cyber team. So this is where AI is really coming a lifeline for them. And we're seeing it like every single day, how useful it is for them.
So one of the things that we're seeing in our conversations with investors is that the pace of change of AI has been so rapid over the last few years that I think many people are sort of experiencing the technology without really having had time to develop like an appropriate intuition for how these models work. And this is leading to sort of all kinds of misconceptions about AI. And often it stems from things like, you know, these generative models are trained to produce human-like content. So people anthropomorphize the models and think that they must, I mean, whether they can think at all is open for debate, but they think that they think or learn in the same way that humans do. Of course, they don't, and they fail in strange ways or ways that seem strange to humans. And this leads to people not trusting them and all sorts of downstream problems. Do you find that there are similar kind of poor intuitions and misconceptions in the world of AI in cyber that you're constantly trying to fight? And if so, like what are the main myths that you're busting on a regular basis with the people you interact with?
No, but yes, and you are right. And I think we have to be careful. I mean, at the end of the day, all of these AI will be open source. I mean, OpenAI is open source, and we're getting to this, right? The competition for AI is huge, and who's leading? Now the US is leading. China now with DeepSeek is making AI more efficient, cheaper, you know, scary because, as you know, better than me, AI works with your data. The data is really the fuel out of it. So if you don't protect it, it's either you protect it, you implement it within your AI, you make it grow, or you're just giving it to threat actors. And yes, you have this misconception, even in cybersecurity, you just deploy and they do the work. And it's true for the training. And I've been in security operations center in massive companies in the Middle East, where usually we would have hundreds of cybersecurity analysts, and they had 3.
Whoa.
And I was shocked. Okay, they had all the budget in the world, they had a lot of different backups in case, but it's working. But you need to take the time. And it's not only teaching it in one way, training it one way, but there's a lot of case studies. There's over hundreds of case studies each time. And you can actually untrain it as well. I find it fascinating, but it's not everything is good. And I think we have this is where the soft skills comes in all the time. You still need to use your brain, if I may say so. It would be the best way I can say it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's, although these tools can make you more efficient, they're really tools designed to help the human. They're not going to ever plausibly take the human out of the loop.
Enhancing.
One of the things that you mentioned that AI gives us is it's the ability for everyone to be smart.
Yes.
And it's kind of, I think that is kind of the fundamental thing about this new AI development is that a lot of the changes that are going to happen are you've now got abundant intelligence. And so it can change the way in which you approach problems. So instead of having a human do 1 draft manually, you can have AI do 20 drafts and then select the best amongst them and similar things like that. I can see, obviously, we've discussed lots of good aspects of that. Is it a double-edged sword? Does this abundant intelligence also just make the attackers like more sophisticated and better prepared to attack you? And how do you help companies and governments to ensure that the benefits accrue more to the good people and less to the threat attackers?
This is a race that we'll have to balance out. I mean, Stuart, that did also a podcast that is the CISO of HSBC Global, was telling me this morning that he has done a research a couple of years ago. It's fascinating that he took a bunch of emails, phishing emails and good emails, threw that in ChatGPT. It was 100% accurate of knowing which one is the right email and which one is the phishing email.
Okay.
It's fantastic. Nowadays, with ChatGPT, you can do pen testing, penetration testing of your environment. You can actually have some red teaming exercises, tabletop exercises. So yes, in the way of thinking, it's becoming, it's extremely useful. But then you have everything from, now we were joking about this before, of having people within your company that are starting to chat GPT their emails and sending them, and we know. There's also, I think it's going to be more and more open, but yes, what used to take days to be able to prepare an attack for threat actors, for a bad actor, now can take a question of hours. You can actually have ransomware for purchase, and you go on the dark web, the deep web, you buy them, and then you find out how to deploy them, and it's done. So yes, can we keep up? I always have this debate. So the blue team is the protectors, right? Is the one, and are the blue team better equipped than the hackers? I don't want to be pessimistic, because I do think that the hackers are quite quicker. But as soon as they develop a technique, we are the reactive one. So we really have to be the one taking back the advantage and be more creative in this. And one way to be creative is not about the type of toolings. We've seen this too often. I mean, people will put layers of tools. Tools is not cybersecurity. There's tools, there's process, there's people. We talk about this a lot. But there's prioritizing, making sure your crowd jewel or protecting as well. There's budget that comes into this. So there's a lot of different layers to take into account. And for now, we're not doing too much of a bad job, I think, globally, all companies.
Very good. So, I mean, obviously, it's very hard to make predictions in this space. If we have gone back 6 or 7 years and tried to predict where AI was going to have the biggest influence, we'd probably have said things like driverless cars and humanoid robots, and it turned out that actually all the excitement's been in the ability of generative AI to do office work. With those caveats notwithstanding, what do you see as the key likely developments over the next few years in this space?
I will go back as well to the cyberspace. I don't know why it's talking within me. You're looking at all the development that China has done, Russia, the US, you look at the people like Elon Musk, there's a reason why they're focusing up there. And all of the debris we have right now in space, the data centers, now we are just in the UAE in 2026, we're going to be launching data centers up there. It makes sense, it's not simple, but it makes sense to have them there. So I think in the next 6-7 years, we're going to see much more of that. And a lot will be focusing as well on quantum computing. I mean, we can't hide it. It's something that is not new. We've been talking about it a lot. Nobody was taking a lot of care of it. Government will actually now start. But we need to think that everything that's being developed now needs to be quantum secure. Yeah. And we don't even know yet what quantum secure is. So this is really where we should be looking at.
Yeah. And one of the aspects you mentioned a few times here is the importance of data protection.
Yes.
If you were to advise our listeners about, what's the one thing that they should focus on in their work, is that the area that companies should be focusing on, or are there other low-hanging fruits that they should deal with first if they haven't already?
Okay, 2 points. Okay. Data protection, it's not, I would like to say it's a wish. You just take a bank like HSBC, global bank, multiple countries. The regulation is so complicated. The patchwork of regulation is impossible to follow. I mean, I'm seeing it at ZENDATA. We work with over 45 countries. It's the only way, the only thing it's creating is really giving more space to hackers to maneuver. The low-hanging fruit for companies, and I'd like to jump into threat intelligence. And I'll give an example. Often companies think that if you're having, I don't want to say names of tools, but you're having this tool implemented, this is threat intelligence. It's not. Threat intelligence is really gathering different corroborating points, corroborating data, and ingesting it in your environment to making it operational. And for this, you need multiple tools, but multiple analysts and AI agents, and to make it really functionable. And also, too often the misconception is about, oh, if I know this, I will keep it for me because I have a leverage on my competitors. Well, actually, the only leverage you're giving is the threat actors. And if I may give an example, during COVID, Putin and Biden met in Geneva. It's beautiful, beautiful blue lake, green mountains. We look very rich as a Swiss country. And they talk about 3 things. One of them was cybersecurity. I won't hack you, you won't hack me. Okay. Well, within a second, there was a new threat actors group that started to attack Switzerland. Thousands of attacks. We were the first one with the police to intervene on the first incident. It was the first time a group was going through an infrastructure of a company through a hypervisor. Okay. That was new, and it's extremely important data. But by the time this is debriefed, brought up to the government, the GovCerts that we have, and brought it back to us so we have a green light to be able to disclose it to critical environment, I don't want to say the amount of time it took, because this is public, but we had thousands of attacks in Switzerland. From the airports, the post, the thousands. And this, when I'm talking about threat intelligence sharing, this is the perfect example. It costs nothing. On TV, hey, guys, by the way, when you're deploying your security stack, don't forget your hypervisor. It would have been simple and saved billions to the country. So first, a low-hanging fruit, making sure you have the right communication réseau, like your environments, that you can get data and you can give data. You need to talk to each other, and that costs nothing.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the advice for institutions. What about the individuals, the people listening to this podcast? What do you feel are the low-hanging fruits that individuals miss out on that leave them vulnerable to cyber attack?
I don't have it on me. It's quite rare. Smartphone.
Right.
You wake up in the morning, you check your messages. You go to the bathroom, you have your phone. You go tonight, you check out your messages. Your smartphone. And what people don't realize, you don't have firewalls. So every time you're going to a restaurant and all this, and you're clicking for the QR code, please don't. Do old school. Ask for the menu or the iPad. Every time you're walking to a Starbucks and you're going on the free Wi-Fi or even not free Wi-Fi, but you don't know if this Wi-Fi has malicious agents in it or not. Apps, you have malicious apps. Listening device, you have. So you also have to have a 24/7 protection on your smartphone. It's called an MTD. So we do this. People believe that it's very expensive. It's not. But the first step is to actually just be very careful. You don't need to click on everything. And the best free advice for this is every night, restart your phone. Shut it down, restart it. The police does it, everybody does it. It's free, and it's actually because 99% of any malicious application that would have been put inside your phone cannot resist the shutdown.
Wow.
So it's an easy step, it's free, and you can do it. But I think that's a really first low-hanging fruit.
Okay, that's low-hanging fruit that I didn't know about, so I'm definitely going to start doing that as well. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been a fascinating discussion.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Perspectives. Make sure you're subscribed to HSBC Global Viewpoint to stay connected